Have you ever had times in your life when you feel inadequate, when you feel as though you're a failure, where you just don't seem to get things right? Well, if you do, I know how you feel. I felt exactly the same way, because I have lost pretty much everything twice in my lifetime. Once when my children were small, and once much later. But do not fear. Because if you feel like that, it isn't the end of the world. You feel very much like a lot of other people. And if you feel that way, don't feel worried about trying something new. Because life is all about carrying on and keep trying. It's not as though when you were a baby and you tried to stand up and you tried to walk and you fell down on your bum. Do you remember that? And when your kids did the same thing, you didn't go, oh, that's it, give up, or you just want to forget about that. You're never going to be able to do that. Because that's not the way it works, is it? We cheer on kids. Oh, come on, you can do it. One more step, one more step. And then when they do it, we're like, yes, well done. But to do that, to stand up and start walking, takes a while, doesn't it? We know this from children of our own. And when they do it, we get so proud. But we don't think of them as a failure all those times they take a step and fall over, and they take another step and fall over. We don't think of them as a failure then. But that's how life is. See, I don't know about you, but I'm a bit like a terrier, that I may start yapping, and I may fail, but I keep going and I keep going and keep going until I overcome whatever it is that's stopping me. And I'm sure that during all those times, I still feel like I've been a failure so many times. And I have failed. I've got so many things wrong. And yet, like everybody else, we keep going and we keep going. And it's only when you look back from that distance that you realise all of those things that you failed at, you actually overcome. And so you're not so much of a failure as you think. As I've got older, I've started to think that being a failure isn't such a bad thing, because it's at those times when I've learned to move forward. I've learned each time I've failed something, it's taken me a step forward. I've got a book that I've read over and over the years, and it's called Tough Times Don't Last, but Tough People Do. It's by somebody called Robert Schuller. And inside that book, he makes some statements about failure, and I'd really like to share them with you. I've printed them out, I've got them over there, I'm going to read them to you, so if I shoot that way, that's why. And it goes like this: failure doesn't mean you're a failure, it just means you haven't succeeded yet. Failure doesn't mean that you've accomplished nothing, it does mean that you've learned something new. Failure doesn't mean you've been a fool, it means that you've had faith. Failure doesn't mean that you've been disgraced, it does mean that you were willing to try. Failure doesn't mean that you don't have it. It does mean, though, you have to do it in a different way. Failure doesn't mean you're inferior, but it does mean you're not perfect. Failure doesn't mean that you've wasted your life. It does mean you have to start again. Failure doesn't mean you have to give up. It does mean you've got to try harder. And failure doesn't mean you'll never make it. It just means it will take a bit longer. And there's a Japanese proverb that I really like that goes something like, if you fall down 7 times, get back up 8. The fact is, we all fail. But that doesn't mean to say that you don't want to try. We can't not try things for fear of ridicule. That's only going to hold you back. And the fact is, your dreams, your goals are yours. So why shouldn't you go for them? If you think that the things that you want to try are going to bring you ridicule, just remember this. Those people who criticize you, who ridicule you, they're not part of the solution. And they're also not in a position to do anything to help you. Think of it like this. Do they pay your bills? If they don't, forget what they say and you go your way, because it is your life that you're trying to take forward. Don't worry about failing. Failing teaches you a new thing. When I look back over my life at all the things I've done wrong, they're the times that I've learned something that will help me take that step forward. It's during the times when I've done nothing that I haven't learned anything. And it's the same with success in a way, to be fair. Every time I've been successful in something, I haven't really learned anything. I've just managed to go, oh, that worked. But when that worked bit happens, it's usually because I've failed something back there, and something that I've learned from the failing has helped me take that next step to bring me forward. All I've got to say to you is, don't worry about failure. Be proud of yourself, because you've got the backbone to stand up and take another step. Failure isn't a bad thing, I promise you. I have lost everything, as I said, twice. But I'm still here, and I'm still trying new things. I've got people who've ridiculed me for doing YouTube. But do you know what? I don't care. They're not doing anything in their lives that's helping them move on. What you'll find is the people who criticize you usually are the people who are doing nothing with their own lives. Your biggest supporters, on the other hand, are usually people that are striving themselves, and they think that you're part of the gang. So if you have failed, don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world. You can move on. You will move on. And to be honest, until the day you leave this earth, you are going to fail. So you might as well let it be your friend. Let it teach you something and let you move forward with your life. I'll see you next time.